Hello everyone and welcome to Learn Photoshop Editing with Photoshop 2020. In this video we're going to go over the course overview and what we're going to be learning throughout the course. So in section 2 we're going to cover Creative Cloud. I'll show you how to set up an account and download the Creative Cloud application. Then I'll show you how to download Photoshop 2020. In section 3 we're going to talk about tools. So we'll cover the following: the Move tool, the Rectangular Marquee tool, the Lasso tool, the Object Selection tool, the Crop tool, the Frame tool, the Eyedropper tool, the Spot Healing brush, the Brush tool, the Clone Stamp tool, the History Brush tool, the Eraser, Gradient, Blur, Dodge, Pen tool, Type tool, Path Selection, Custom Shape tool, Hand tool, and Zoom. In section 4, we're going to do a wallpaper project. So we'll go over the overview of the project. We'll set up the project files. We'll set up the Photoshop document. We'll create a background. We'll add a logo. We'll add effects. And then we'll go over the project summary. In section 5, we're going to do a thumbnail project. So we'll go over the overview of the project. Then we'll set up the project files. We'll set up the Photoshop document. We'll create a background. We'll add text, add effects, and then go over the project summary. In section 6, we're going to go over the profile picture project. So we'll go over the project overview, then we'll set up the project files, we'll set up the document, we'll add the source image, we'll crop the image, we'll add effects, we'll save for the web, and we'll do the project summary. In section 7, we'll conclude the course with the conclusion and go over a summary of the course. So with that in mind, thanks for watching. I'll see you inside the course. Web Developer Edition. You can use whatever browser you want. Type in adobe.com. Click on Creativity and Design and click on What is Creative Cloud? And select Individual if you're an individual. If you're a business, select Business. If you're a student or a teacher, select that option. I'm going to do Individual. And we're going to click on Start Free Trial and click on the monthly plan. And then we're going to do, I'm going to do my email, learntechplus1@gmail.com. I'm going to hit continue. It's going to ask you to create a password, so I'm going to type one in here. Make sure you write that down. And then it's going to ask you for a payment method. So what it's going to do is after 7 days, they're going to bill you for whatever plan you select. So if you select the annual plan, prepaid for $599.88. That's what you'll get billed in 7 days, so January 29th. If you do the annual plan paid monthly, $52.99 a month after the trial ends, that's what will automatically be billed. If you do the monthly plan of 79 cents after the trial ends, then that's what you'll be billed. That's what I'm going to select. I already have my credit card information in here. I'm going to click on Start Free Trial. And that should give me access and we should be ready to roll. Yep, okay, so now I'm going to click on Get Started. And what that should do is give me a couple options here. So we're going to go to, I'm going to type in adobe.com to take us to a different menu here. And what I want to do is I want to download Creative Cloud. So what we're going to do is let's go here and click on Open. Okay, and then we're going to install Creative Cloud. Now you should get a prompt right here for the Creative Cloud setup executable. I'm going to grab that file, double click on it. You're going to get a pop-up window asking you if you want to accept. Just click yes. We're all set. And now it's going to install on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause the video. And once this is complete, then I will come back and we'll continue on with this. Okay, so we're going to let that install. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video, and once it's done downloading, then I'll come back and we'll continue on, okay? All right, welcome back. So, Photoshop is officially downloaded. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to briefly open up the software just so you can get an idea of what you're working with here. There you go. And what I want you to do is right-click on the icon in the taskbar and pin it to the taskbar. All right. And in the next video, we're going to talk about graphic design. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Welcome to section 3, and where we're going to talk about tools. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go into the project files here. We're going to download my lovely picture. So if you go to the Move Tool video, which is number 4, under section 3, click on Resources, and click on profilepicture.jpg, and download that, and let's save it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this, and I'll bring over my downloads folder here, and I'll right click and we'll open this with Photoshop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the picture itself. Let's make sure I got the right one here. Let's see. Okay, right there. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put this on the desktop. Let me minimize that for a second. I'll minimize that, and I'll right-click and paste it right on the desktop, so that way I have the file if we need to use it. Now, the whole purpose of this image here is so when we go through the tools, we can actually have something to work with. So you get to look at my lovely face the entire course, and you can Photoshop me any way you want. If you want to change the color of my beard, if you want to change my skin tone, the color of my shirt, the color of the background, if you want to, make me bald from my spiky hair, whatever you want to do, this is the perfect image for you to do that because it's got a white background, which makes it really easy to edit and delete the background, and requires very little photo editing or photoshopping, and it'll just be fun. Okay, so that's the whole point of this course, is I want to make sure that you understand that I want you to have fun with this. I don't want you to stress. I don't want you to freak out. I want you to have fun with it, and I want you to send me some of the stuff that you do. So send me some stuff on Udemy and say, hey, I Photoshopped you and I cut your hair off, or I gave you spikes, or I turned it purple, or whatever. Whatever you want to do is cool, man. I'm cool with that. So there you go. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Move tool. Now, when we talk about these tools, we're not just going to talk about the first tool. I'm actually going to cover every single tool in this panel here. So the Move tool has 2 tools in it. So it has the Move tool and the Artboard tool. But the reason why I categorized it as whatever the main tool was is that way, instead of making 4 lectures, we make 1 lecture and talk about all 4 tools. And it relates because it's in the same area. So I will be using keyboard shortcuts once in a while, but you will see a keyboard shortcut appear down here, which will show you, and I will always state what I'm doing so that way you know and understand, okay, he's doing a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to try to keep it to a minimum, but I'm going to tell you, the more that you can learn about keyboard shortcuts, the easier Photoshop is going to be. Now, I understand that if you're just starting out, that's a lot to take on, and I don't want you to stress about it. What I'm saying is take the course first, and then after you take the course, then learn the keyboard shortcuts. Learn the techniques first, learn the fundamentals, and then come back and learn the keyboard shortcuts. Okay? So the first tool we're going to talk about is the Move tool. So there's a couple things you need to know about layers in Photoshop. This picture right here is the only layer in this document. So right now, it's not even a Photoshop document. It's a JPEG. So if I were to save this as a PSD file, we could do that. Let's do File, Save As, and let's save it on our computer. You can also save it to the cloud, but I'm going to save it to your computer. And what I want to do is go to Desktop, and we're going to save this as a Photoshop document. Okay, so I'm going to hit Save. Now, what you're going to notice is whether it's a JPEG, a PNG, a PSD, any file format, when you bring it in, if you only have one layer, what it's going to do is it's going to automatically lock it. That's the default for Photoshop 2020, and it's been that way for as long as I've been using Photoshop, and I've been using it a lot longer than Photoshop 2020. I'm just going to date myself and tell you that I've been using this program since 2004, and I absolutely love it. So I hope that you kindle that same kind of love once we're done with this course, and if you have any questions, let me know, okay? I'm happy to help you. Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to unlock this layer. So there's a couple ways to do that. One way you can do it is, it's not showing my text here, but when you hover over this, it's showing in my other screen, but I'll tell you what it says. Indicates layers particularly locked. Now, if I double click, it unlocks the layer and then opens up the layer style, which we don't want to mess with right now. So that's the first thing. So always remember, when you open up a Photoshop document, for the first time, if you bring a photo in, you're going to have a layer locked. Okay, so I'll show you one more example, and then we'll talk about the Move tool. If I open up Web Large and we turn off artboards because I only want one document, you can see right here, background, and it's locked. Okay, so that's just the default in Photoshop 2020 and just in Photoshop in general. Okay, so I'm going to save this. I'm going to hit OK. And now what we're going to talk about is the Move tool. So with the Move tool, it does exactly what it says it does. You can move around your object, okay? So if you want to move me around, we can go left, we can go right, you can move me wherever you want to. And, you know, you can get really creative here, and you can, you know, cut my neck off and kind of move me up and, you know, do random stuff with me and, you know, really get creative, you know. So if you want to do that, that's cool. But basically, that's all the tool is. All you're doing is you're just moving the object around, okay? And one way to do it is up here they have a automatically select a group or layer by clicking on the visible pixel. So what I want you to do is I want you to make sure that when you do this, that you have to select the layer. So I'm going to make another layer real quick. So let's click on the plus sign here. So when I make another layer, and let's do this. Let's select layer 1 and delete it. Okay? Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to right click and I'm going to duplicate layer 0. So it'll be layer 0 copy. So I'll hit OK. And now when I move this around, it'll work. Okay, good. So that didn't work. That's good. So what I want you to get used to, there is an option where you can turn on layer select, where when you click on an image, it'll grab that item and then you can move that. But what I want you to do to get started, I want you to select the layer over here. And the reason why you want to do that is when you have 100 layers and you're selecting this and then selecting that and selecting this and that, it messes up your flow totally. So that's what I'm going to tell you. So I'm going to delete layer 0 copy, and that is the Move tool. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to save this document. I'm going to leave this page open, and now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the Artboard tool. Okay, so what we need to do is create another document. So we're going to do File, and we're going to do New, and I want to select Web Large, and you can see over here there's an option for artboards. Now you're probably wondering, okay, what's an artboard? Why do I need it? Okay, so an artboard is this. This is an artboard right here, okay? And if I go and I right click on the Move tool and I go to the Artboard tool and I highlight this, I just highlight the whole thing, then now I have plus signs on all 4 sides. And what that gives me the ability to do, if I'm building a website, if I'm designing a website and I want to have multiple pages on one document instead of having, let's say that you're building a 20-page website, right? And you want to build the layout and the content all in the same document instead of building 20 documents. Because I'm going to tell you, it gets a little annoying when you're building a big project and you got to go through 15 different files to do the same thing where you could just do it in one document. So if I click on this plus sign here, it's going to create artboards. So let's build a 10-page design, right? Let's just frame out a 10-page design. So what that would include here is we have one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And what that did was it created 10 artboards so that we can move and see it actually brought one over. So if I move that down, now I have 10 pages because before I only had 9. Okay. And what it does is it will equally divide it up. So when you add a new artboard, the spacing between the two will be the same, right? So what it does is it gives you the ability, if you wanted to build a 10-page site and then you wanted to have subpages for each one, what you could do is use the artboard tool and if that works, hold on, okay. If I hit the plus sign, okay, now I can go down, okay? Then if I go here, okay, I can do the same thing. I can go down. Okay, so if that's my drop-down menu for page 1, and then page 2's got, this many, and page 3 doesn't have any, and page 4 has 2, right? Then I can lay this out. Now, what does this have to do with photo editing? It doesn't have anything to do with it, but remember, we're doing tools. So it has a lot to do with tools because I want you to understand each tool before we even get into photo editing. Because if you don't understand the tools, it's going to be hard when I'm saying, oh, let's use the lasso tool, or let's use the move tool, or let's use the marquee tool, or this one, the magnetic lasso tool, etc. So the idea behind this makes it easy to lay out web designs, app designs. You could do storyboards with this for video. You could do a lot of different things with this. So this is a great tool, and it's one that they just started adding recently. Before this, the only time I'd seen artboards was in Illustrator. I'd never seen it in Photoshop, but they started to implement it in as they kept going. So that is the artboard tool. All right, so what I'm going to do, we're going to close this document out. We're not going to save it. We're going to keep this picture of my lovely face up. And in the next video, we're going to talk about these tools right here, the rectangular marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, the single row marquee tool, and the single column marquee tool. And let's see what kind of mischief we can get into with photoshopping my lovely face here. And I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing to me. Like, what shirt am I going to be wearing? What kind of hat you're going to add? All that stuff will be a lot of fun. And like I said, have fun with this. I know that this is kind of the less exciting part of the course, but again, this is a crucial part in understanding photo editing. So the more you understand about the tools, the easier the photo editing will be, and the more fun you're going to have with that. Okay? So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the rectangular marquee tool. So let's jump right back into our profile picture.pst file here. And I'm going to click on the rectangular marquee tool. So let's select that. And the first thing I want you to do before you start doing this is hit Control D to deselect that. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to create another layer. And now we're going to do this. And I'm going to grab the paint bucket right here. And I'm going to fill this in. So let me do this. Okay, there you can see my lovely face has been blocked out. Now, we can fade this, okay, and then use the move tool to move it around. Okay, so we can use this as kind of like a little filter for the image so that it's not as... And let's see if we can lower the opacity a little bit. There you go, give it a little blue feel. Now, that's one way you can use the marquee tool, is that way. Another way that I use the marquee tool is I use it to edit. So I'll go in here and let's go and let's see what we cut off here. Let's do this. Let's do this little icon right here, right? So if we grab the marquee tool, like that, and then I grab the eyedropper, and I grab the brush, and I hit the letter B, so that's the shortcut for that. I can paint that in, okay? Now, it doesn't look good because we didn't use the right tool, but when I zoom out, you can't tell, okay? And all I did was I used the marquee tool. So I can do that again here. So we can grab the marquee tool. Whoop, I don't want to do that. Let me grab the marquee tool here, and then do the same thing, okay? And then go over here and do the same thing. Okay, and then we'll do it here. Now, we want it to be a little more, I want to be a little tighter with my my marquee so that way it's not kind of all over the place, you know what I mean? Because when you Photoshop stuff, you don't want to do like a broad stroke, you want to do a tight stroke. So that way, the effects that you're doing, you can't really tell. Like the one you can tell is this one right here. These ones are harder to identify because of the thing. So the other thing we can do is right down here, if I grab the marquee tool and do that here, okay, then we can do that here too. So this is one way that you can use the marquee tool to Photoshop different things. Okay. Now, I use this tool all the time. For a variety of reasons, but again, one of the main reasons that I use it is if there's a spot where I need to squarely edit something. So like, let's say I wanted to cut out the background here, okay? And I just select that and I hit delete, okay? And I want to do it up here, right? There are other ways to do it. You can grab a, see, like that. Okay, what? Okay, I was wondering why my toolbar was up there. Okay, anyway, so if I grab the marquee tool and I do this and I go all the way to my spike there and then hit delete, okay, now we've basically started to edit this photo, okay, without using the eraser tool or anything. We're just using the marquee tool. Now, I don't recommend doing that like a full edit with the marquee tool, but if you want to get started with it, that's a good way to use the marquee tool, okay? So let's talk about the next tool here. So we have the elliptical marquee tool. So this one is a circle. So this is good for if you want to do like my face here, and let's make a new layer. So I'm going to Control D to deselect that, okay? And then let's do that again right here. So if I do that, what I can do is I can add an effect to that. Let's do a little color overlay. I'll hit OK. And then let's do that. Okay, so there you can see we can put that over my face there, and then we can blend this a little bit. Okay. And you can kind of use that as a marker as to where you're going to be editing. That's really the idea behind what I'm showing you. But again, you can use other techniques as well. But this is a great way to see, okay, if I do this, then I could cut off here, I could cut off there, cut down there, cut down there. Okay, so with the marquee tool, you can do a couple things. If I just draw freehand here, it's going to just do whatever wild shape I come up with. But if I hold shift, then it's going to make it a square oval, if that makes sense. See, like this. So that's if I hold shift. If I let go, it'll just kind of be more of a free form shape, like that. If I hit Control D, that'll deselect. So I'll delete layer 3, okay? And what we're going to talk about now is the single row marquee tool. So with this, if I go like that, as long as I'm on the layer and I hit delete, what it's going to do is it's going to draw a line through my face there. And then we can do another one here, okay? And what I normally use this for is not to draw lines through my face, but in fact, I'll use it for when I'm doing a layout of a website or an app and I want to add a line and I just need a thin line, I can just use that. And that will give me what I need. Now, there's other other ways to do that, but this is just one of those ways to do it, okay? So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to use the undo tool. So if we go to edit and we do undeselect, okay, we're going to hit Control Z until I come back to normal. And it should take us all the way back because I haven't done that many edits. Let's see if it will. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to hit Control D, Control S to save, and that is the rectangular marquee tool, the elliptical marquee tool, the single row marquee tool, and the single column marquee tool. So, thank you for watching, and in the next video, we're going to get to the fun stuff and start talking about the lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and the magnetic lasso tool, which these are all really fun tools and one of my favorite tools to not only talk about but to use. So, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video. All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about one of my favorite tools in Photoshop, the lasso tool. So first, we're going to grab the lasso tool, and I'll show you how this works. So the idea behind this is it's kind of like a selection tool, right? So you can go like this, you can come up here, you can go around, okay, my beautiful face there, and then bring it back down. And then you're going to look for the little circle. Let's see if it does it. Come on, where are you? Where are you? I'm trying to connect this. There you go. So what I did there is I selected kind of a weird selection. So let's deselect this. Control D, and we'll do this again. So what you're going to do is it's kind of a free form selection tool. Okay, so I can select all of that, and if I hit delete, I go bye-bye. If I undo that with Control Z, I stay there. Now, the other way we can utilize this tool, which is really cool, it takes a little bit of practice and not my steady hand here, but what you can do is I can go here and down and come back. Okay, and I can hit delete. Okay, so I can remove part of the background with that. And I can come up here and do the same thing, which I'm kind of getting a little wild here. But let me try this in this corner, and then come over here and down. And like I said, this is why, like in the previous video, I used the marquee tool. For this part, the rectangular marquee tool, because it's a square background. So you don't really need the lasso tool for this specific part, but you would use it for this. Like when you're going to go here and do kind of the touch-up, which I'm just kind of rough let's not cut my beard off. Okay, and then if I come back here with my rough thing here. So like I was saying, you can use the lasso tool to kind of cut around here and really cut out some of the tighter edges here, like if I zoom in. So what I did is I hit the Z key here. So if you hit Z, let me just right click on that so you can see it. So the letter Z, and then you can zoom in with that and then just click in. And so if we hit L, which is for the lasso tool, we can go in here and we can really go close, and you can see I'm going to cut over, but that's all right for this example. And we can cut back here and come up and back around and right here. And then there you go, and then hit delete, and it's going to cut off my ear. But again, when you zoom out, you're not going to be able to tell. But that's really what the lasso tool is for, is it's more for touch-up, getting real close on the edges, and then working inside of here and then deleting it. And that's really what I've used it for when I Photoshop stuff, is I use it specifically for that. And they're trying to not kill it off, but they have other tools that really do a better job of the same function. And so it becomes less and less used when they start making better tools. Darn you, Adobe. I'm just kidding. I think it's great what they're doing. So keep up the good work. But again, what you see here is if I grab the lasso tool with the letter L and I do the same thing as we were doing before, we can make kind of more of a defined edit when we're going to like block out this color right here, right? So if I zoom in, let's zoom out just a little bit so you don't, okay, there we go. And if I grab the lasso tool here and we just draw kind of a tight oval rectangular shape here, and then I do the brush, okay, and let's do the eyedropper. So hit the letter I and then drop that color, and then the B for brush, so that'll fill it in. And then when I zoom out, you can't even tell that I edited that because it's a more tighter edit. It's a tighter touch-up where you can't really tell. Okay, you can tell there, but when I zoom out to here, unless you did the edit, you're not going to know, and that's the point. That's the key to a really good photo editor, is that you can't tell that it was photoshopped. That's what you want to get to. Like if you're just starting out, you're not going to be there right away, which is fine. But again, if I zoom in here and I do the same thing here, and I do it even tighter than before, okay, and I just kind of hover over the colors that I want to block out, okay, and then we do the same thing. We grab the brush and we do that, and then we zoom out. You can see it there, but when I go out far, that's more tellable than the other one. But the good thing is I can undo this. So if I undo, and then I use the eyedropper, not the brush, sorry. Hit I and for me, and then do the eyedropper, and then grab the brush with B, and then zoom out, and that should take care of it. And that does. Once you zoom out, you can't tell, okay, this is photoshopped, okay? Because again, when you get to the image, if it's on social media or whatever it's on, it's only going to be probably 50 to 100% or 33%. So you're not going to be able to tell what I've done with it. Now, what I want you to do is we're going to undo all of our changes here. So one way we can do it is hit Control Z until it goes back. Okay, the other way to do it is if I go to Window and I go to History, I can scroll all the way up to the top and click on Deselect. And what that's going to do is, instead of having to do a Control Z 15 times or 30 times or however many times we edited, you just go right to the top of the history, deselect, and there you go. So we're going to save this. And now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the polygonal lasso tool. Okay, so this is a little different. So this is more of what the name of the tool is, polygonal tool. So this is, again, not really for this particular project here of photoshopping my face, my shirt, my hair, the background, etc. This is more for if you have a angular object that you need to create points with and go around like that, because this would not be easy to do with my face, really. I mean, you could try it. Let's just kind of, yeah, my head is too rounded to do this. But we could go like this. This is kind of funny. But what it basically does is it will create points. Everywhere that I click is a point. Okay, so we can make a square version of myself if you want. We could do my beard at least, because it's kind of like a diamond. Of course, I didn't do it right, but that's all right. You get the idea. And what you're going to do is when you close this up, to end the selection, you need to find this little circular item here. And then when I click, then it selects it. Okay? So that's the polygonal lasso tool. Now, what I want to do is I want to click on deselect. Okay? And I'm going to hit Control S to save just to make sure that we save it. And now we're going to talk about my favorite lasso tool, even more so than the lasso tool, the magnetic lasso tool. This is the best tool. When they first came out with it, I loved it, and I still love it. So if I left click and I hold, and I just drag this around, okay, and I'm just going to do kind of a rough photoshopping of myself. So if I go like this, and we go up and around, and again, you don't have to do this. You can just watch me do this. You can follow along if you want. Try it out. Don't worry if you mess up. That's always part of the learning curve. Okay. So what you can see here is what it will do is it's magnetic. So what it's going to do is it's going to find the pixels that you're working with, and it's going to attach itself to those pixels. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go crazy here. Whoops, whoa. And so it can get kind of out of hand if you don't maintain control. And what you're looking for is that little circle right next to it for the selection tool. Now, if I hit delete, let's see how I did. Come on, man. Let's do it here and then hit delete. Okay, there we go. Make sure you have layer 0 selected. I'm going to hit Control D to deselect. And you can see that's a pretty clean, around here anyway. Up here, you know, my hair is kind of a pain. So that's a little more of a touch-up, and really you got to get in there and really delete everything, which you don't want to use the lasso tool for this. This is more of a, like this tool. I'm not going to get in depth, but the magic eraser tool is really what that's for, because you can just go in and kind of erase certain ones. Okay. Now, I'm not, like I said, I don't want to get into too much detail with this because we're going to talk about this later in the course, but the reason why I would use that tool instead of the lasso tool is, you know how hard that would be to, like, do this? You'll be here all week trying to, you know, go like this. Okay, and it won't even let me do it. See, the magnetic lasso tool is similar to the polygonal lasso tool, where it bases it off of points. Now, you could do it in certain areas to touch it up, to get the white out of my hair so that you can add your background in there. But the idea here is that you can see how crisp this is. I goofed up here, but look at how nice this edge looks. Okay? I messed up a little bit there, over there, and here it's clean. Okay? There's a little white there, but again, that's just touch up, and there's a lot of tools that we can use to touch that up. Okay? And then down here, if I look at this, and so one way to tell here is if we go to the layers panel and we make a new layer, and we put it below the image, right? And I click on the default colors here, and then I just give it a black background, okay? That really will tell you how we did, okay? So some people wouldn't like this and say, well, that's kind of tacky. Other people would say, well, you know, that's kind of a nice effect. And if you really wanted to add to that effect, I'll show you how to do that. So if we go to the effects panel here, and we add stroke to my image, and we go white, right? We can kind of get away with this effect because it was a white background. So that's a little too much, but you can see now we outlined my whole frame here, and it also did the bottom. So we'd have to fix that part, but the point is that you can work around this and make it work to your advantage if you really wanted to. So that's what you always got to remember. Okay, so I'm going to Control D that, or Z that, sorry, not Control D. And I'm going to erase the black layer here. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the marquee tool that we learned earlier, and I'm going to go up and delete here. Okay, and then we're going to go over and delete there, and then we'll go down and delete. Okay, so again, the magnetic lasso tool really is for getting around the edges here, and what its base premises is that it's creating points. So every spot on my beard, on my face, on my neck, everything that I'm doing, it's a point. So it's attracted to the pixels, and you can see the frequency here. Okay, so let me do this real quick. So you can edit the frequency. So what that's going to do is it's going to base it on the density of the color. So the higher you go with this, the more sensitive it's going to be. The lower you go, it'll be less sensitive, right? So we want to keep this as is. But again, the point of this is that if you want to really get tight on the edit and make it look as cool and as professional as possible, the easiest way to do it is like this. You just do small points, and it's a very tedious task and it takes a long time, but your product will look a lot better than if you just do long strokes like this, right? So we can go down here and then come up here, and then I can delete there, and then that will clean up anything else that we need to. And remember, there's other tools that we can use with this tool to really get this the way that we want it. Okay? So what I'm going to do now is we're going to go to the deselect save setting, and I'm going to do File, Save, and we're going to save this. And in the next video, we're going to learn about the Object Selection tool. Okay? So, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. All right, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to talk about the Object Selection tool. So if I right-click on that, you can see there's a couple other tools in here, the Quick Selection tool and the Magic Wand tool. But if we hover over this, the Object Selection tool finds and automatically selects an object inside a defined region. So if I grab this tool and I go like this, in theory, it should select the object. It did not. And the reason why it didn't, let's see if you're paying attention, is I don't have this layer selected. So now let's try it again and see if it works. And there you go. So this basically is the magnetic lasso tool, the polygonal lasso tool, and the lasso tool all combined into one, where you just highlight the object and it selects everything. But you can see here that it didn't grab all of my hair. So if we were to hit Control C and then create a new layer and then hit Control V, okay, and then paste my Photoshop face in there, okay, you can see there's still some white space in there, but this basically did everything we've just been doing in 10 seconds. We just used the selection tool, highlighted it, bam, there it is. Okay, so that's pretty cool. And what I'll do is I'll put the background here. Let's add a background here. So let's add layer 4. We'll make this black so you can really see what we did here. And this was just with the object selection tool, what it did on its own. We just selected my head and my frame here, and it just grabbed it all because we had nothing behind it, just a white background. So that is the object selection tool. Now the other tools I want to talk about is we have the quick selection tool and then the magic wand tool. Okay, so the quick selection tool is a really cool, well, it got out of control, but here, let me turn the background off, hit Control D to deselect, and let's zoom in a little bit. on my hair. And now if we grab the quick selection tool, what we can do is we can kind of select my whole face here. Okay, let me zoom out a little bit. It's a sensitive tool, so what you got to do is you got to kind of just do it slowly. Yes, I'm rushing it too much. There we go. This one is a little more sensitive than the other ones, and you can always come back and kind of tweak it a little more. But basically, this is the same idea as the other one. It's just not as simple to use, and it's more of a shorter strokes than longer strokes. So if I try it one more time here, let me just do the part of my hair. Okay, then I'll go up here a little bit. Okay, and then we'll go down, and let's just go to the edge of my forehead as much as we can. See, and I cut it off. So let me undo that, and let's just grab a little bit here because it's fighting with me. Okay, so we'll just do that right there, and then I'll make a new layer, and I will paint this black, and we'll put it on top right there, and then we'll fade it back to give me a different color of hair for that one, right there. Okay, and then when I zoom out, it's a little more tinted. Okay, so I'm going to delete that, but that's basically what the quick selection tool is. Now the magic wand tool is a great tool that I used all the time before they started making all these other cool tools. So, and this is still a great tool to use. If you want to edit my shirt, this is the tool for that. Because what you can do is you can select all of it, okay? And let's say that we just want to select it. And if I hold shift, I can select my entire shirt here because there's no background. So when it's looking at the tolerance, we're at 32%. So it's looking for similar colors outside of this color of blue, and it's not finding it. You see how the red is selected around it because it's not the same color as blue. So if I go to adjustments and I do brightness and contrast, and we turn that down, and then we turn up the contrast, okay, we change the color. Now if we do adjustments and we do color balance, okay, I can change it again. And we can change it more to the, let's get a little more to the green side here. Okay, so now I change the color of it to red, and then we can go to more of a cyan, right? So I'll hit OK, and then we can do image and adjustments, and we can do hue and saturation is what I normally do. That will really turn it up or turn it down. Let's colorize it, and then turn it up, and then turn up the hue, and then the lightness. And so now it went from a black to like a red. Now it doesn't keep the texture because of that effect, but we'll cancel that. When I did the other edits here with the adjustments, then it worked. We can also do photo filter, which will change it a little bit, and then you can use that, or you can do a color, and we can do the density, okay? So it changes it a little bit, but again, the magic wand tool is really for that, like if you want to select certain things, and then let's say that you want to change the color of my beard. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but if we hold shift and we select, let's just do my eyebrows. Let's do I'll tell you what, let's do my hair.